Hey, what's up, guys? If you've been struggling with supports, trying to understand what they are, how you can cut down some of that filament and save some time, stay tuned for this video because I'll be doing that for you guys. It's 3DB. Alright, guys, so if you look at the bottom right of the screen, this is what I mean by time and by filament. 10 days, 17 hours, and 11 minutes. Now, why am I getting that much time? It's because I have supports on everywhere. So literally everywhere on this model that you see Kira showing red, before I go in there, that's going to be indicating to you that, hey, the printer cannot adjust for gravity. You're going to need some kind of support there or some kind of brace there so that the print can print on that surface. So to give you a good idea of what I mean, the top of this dome. Now, with this Mandalorian helmet, you 100% can print it just like this. The main part that you'll need supports it by the visor. But if you see that dome at the top, that's pretty much over air. I'll show you how that builds up. But that's going to be a place where your Cura system is going to say, hey, I need a little bit of support there so that way I can print a little bit more durable and a little bit more thick. So if you see the top coming in, it's going to come in almost like an egg shape and pretty much like print on top of itself. So I just built it up there slowly for you. And you see how that big mammoth of support is there once it goes over the build plate to where it would almost be like fighting itself because of gravity. That's where those supports come in, so that way your print doesn't fail and it's going to come out a lot stronger. If you have 10 days, 17 hours, if you look down here at the bottom over save to file, you're going to be using about 2,277 grams of filament. I mean, hey, if you have that kind of time, that kind of patience, that kind of budget for your filament, go right ahead. But let's just break it down onto why I would not do that, even if you did. If you look at your time estimation, so this breaks down under that I. This breaks down everything that your printer is going to be doing. What you want to do is look where you see 75%, 194.04. That's all your support. So what it's saying is 75% of the time of that 10 days is just you waiting solely on supports. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of waste. You don't really need that. That's why I'm here today, to teach you guys how to cut that down. But before we do that, I just want to give you guys an idea, some vocabulary, some language on different types of supports, how they work, and how you can use them to help you out with your prints. All right, so first things first is just exactly what I showed you guys, support everywhere. So again, anywhere you see red is where Cura is going to determine, hey, I'm going to need some side of support there, so that way the print doesn't fail. Just some extra stability, something for the printer head to actually go on. I like to say that that's more of like a beginner, a beginner type of selection. Reason I say that is because with supports everywhere, you can use a smaller model, and what that's going to do, it's going to show you where supports are generated. It's going to also teach you how to remove supports. So if you guys seen my Green Goblin video where I was talking about the teeth and how I didn't want supports there because it could cause an issue, it could break, having supports on everywhere, it's going to have it all over your model. Some parts of your model might be a little bit thinner, like I did Pickle Rick from Thingiverse, and the arms of Pickle Rick, or the legs. I'm sure some of you guys have had the same problem. This is when I first started. As I was trying to remove the supports, things started to snap away on that Pickle Rick. So that's kind of why I never finished that model. But that was a learning experience. I had supports on everywhere. I got to learn that. So it gives you a great idea of what the supports do, and for you to understand, hey, where are the angles, or what are the angles of this support? Where might I actually need to put a support so that way I don't have to use everywhere? I could just put some custom supports in a certain spot and it's going to adjust and help my printer and help my print succeed. Other than everywhere, you're going to see touching build plate. Touching build plate or over build plate, what that's going to do is it's going to generate support anywhere of your print that's over the print bed will have some kind of support there. So I'll show you guys what I mean by that there now. So if you look at the top of the or the inside of the dome, you'll see all that red. If I were to flip this upside down, you won't see the red in there because that's not over the build plate. So if I had over the build plate on, that wouldn't need the support. This bottom here would then need the support. Some of the visor as well, if I adjust this visor, you'll start to see some of the red go away as well. There we go. So anything up here, this would not be over the build plate. There's nowhere for, as in, if I were to take a straight line from here and go down, it would touch through this helmet. So that's not over the build plate. The printer will not add supports there. And then from there, you have two other supports. These are going to be custom supports. So those two support systems there that I showed you here under your printer settings, those are generated automatically. You have custom supports or tree supports as well. Custom supports, to download custom supports, right here in the marketplace, I don't have my Wi-Fi on right now, but you can go to plugins and you'll see a search bar. In that search bar, literally just type in custom supports, hit enter, and you'll see the free download there. The same thing for tree supports. If you want to use tree supports, you guys probably heard, maybe through a Facebook group chat or somewhere, tree supports, you might have been wondering, hey, how do I get that? Where is that? Just want to go to the marketplace. Both of those are free, and then from there you can download. I more so use custom supports. I've never really used the tree support. Not a knock on tree support. This is just the first thing that I downloaded, and it's worked for me. Once you download the custom supports, you'll see it right here in the bottom left under the sizing, everything else. And then you'll have two options of how you can use that custom support. So you can either use it as a cube or a cylinder. So I just give you guys a basic of what that looks like. So what I would do is I would just click the model, click my supports, and then what I like to use the custom supports to do is again, the printer can't tell gravity. So pretty much I would just help it as far as gravity. So for me, if I had to tilt it like this, I'd probably put some supports here. I'd probably put some supports here. And just for it to begin, I'd put some supports right here as well. Reason being, this is tilted. So now with that there, you see it's like a kickstand. Even if the printer's pushing down on that, or if your bed's moving a lot, that's going to help it a lot. Again, you mainly want to focus on the red, but if I were to do it like this, I'd probably throw some up here as well, just to help out with the print, just to make sure it actually has a good chance of surviving. And now actually looking at this, I might actually, because I sliced my, or cut my, my Mandalorian helmet when I did it, but this might actually, I could actually work. Getting sidetracked. But yeah, from there, as well with the supports, you can adjust the supports the same way you do the model. So if I wanted to, I can make one support humongous, as big as I want. Anyway, could turn off uniform scaling as well. So that way if I only wanted to go taller up the Z-axis, I can do that. So on and so forth. That's just one way right there of how to cut time from your print. Again, I just want to use it to help my printer adjust for gravity and cut down on that support from everywhere. Now, a quick tip, because when I first started using these custom supports, I ran into an issue, and I didn't know why. So pretty much if you have supports on, or if you have if you're using your custom supports, depending on what setting you have in your supports, whether if you have supports on everywhere or supports over the build plate, that's going to affect where these supports can be built as well. So if I have supports on everywhere, I can put these lines anywhere, and no matter where they are in the print, they're gonna print out. But if I have it on over the build plate only, then those I can have this full bar. It's gonna show me that. But then when I go to preview, when I go to slice and I start to watch the print build up, anything that's not over the build plate is not going to come out. So that actually failed when I used that on a couple of my prints. I just want to give you guys that hint right there. If you're going to use the custom supports, just make sure in your printer settings to put support on everywhere, so that way that those actually build up. All right, and we'll get into pretty much how you want to look at your supports. So again, what I meant by that is you don't want to have the support selected and everywhere. You just want to have that clicked and that way in that support box it just says everywhere. But you don't actually need the supports on everywhere and use the custom supports. I just want to clear that up so that nobody gets confused. So there are two primary ways that I'll cut down time and filament. It's either I'll slice my model or I'll find the best orientation for it. But before I do that, this is one of the Iron Man files that I found from Thingiverse. If you guys need any of these, my Instagram is 3db.inc. Just hit me up on there. I can send you guys any of these files, any of these cuts that I made, just to help you out a little bit. Yeah, but let's just zoom in. So with this mask, this is literally how it came. When I was first starting, this helped me out a million times because it showed me how to use supports. How to use supports. If you look at by these eyes, you'll see these little bars there. This is what I meant by if you only have them touching build plate surface and the supports turned off, these won't print. So I had to learn to, in the settings, to keep it off the same way that I have now, but to just have it put to everywhere. I don't know why Kara does that, but it's just how it does. But what you want to do, especially with a file like this, is just look. I was looking like, where did the creator put these supports and why did he put them there? First things first, whenever looking at a print, you want to build it up from the bottom and watch it go all the way up. So this little back triangle that you see right here, that's something that the creator added. If you look at this little V shape right here, that's the actual mask of this Iron Man. So that just breaks down to you right there why he put that triangle right there. Because if he didn't have that extra bit of support there, building up this from its small stage, you're going to have an issue. That triangle sitting there on an island by itself, it's going to start to wobble. It doesn't really have much to stick onto. So that's why you just want to look at your prints from the bottom, work your way up with them, and then see again, hey, where might gravity have an issue with this print? Where might I need to add a little bit more? You might ask, why didn't he do it on this side? Why aren't there little bars there? With the raft as well. So again, if you go into your print settings, if you go to build plate adhesion, I always have raft selected. Reason being, the raft is this circular section at the bottom. That just pretty much gives your print extra adhesive, extra durability, and something else to stick onto other than your glass bed or your magnetic bed. Alright, and then if we go up, you'll see a bridge start to happen. So right here in the model, you'll see these two parts trying to come together. And you'll see the little lines right there. Like, look how thin that the printer's going to be working to bring those together. Again, with gravity, with your printer head or your nozzle pushing down, that can cause a snap, that can cause a fail. So this is why at this section, you'll see those supports there. Again, just so when it's coming from this section over to here, the printer's going to have something solid to sit on and have some extra kind of support. Same thing with the eyes. You'll see that bridge start to happen again. So anywhere that you see these kind of bridges, so this is middle part right here, is what I like to say the printer building on top of itself, or the print building on top of itself. As you see it coming up. So even though it's starting that piece over here, this brace right here is already supported on this, so the print that's going to already be stitched together. You don't have to worry too much about this. But where the eye is coming to connect, that's a lot of surface to leave dangling in the air. You'll start to see some overhang coming in your print. You're going to have to sand that. You're going to have to take a lot of time into that. Like I said, when I first did this, I had it on over the build plate only, so these did not come out, but the print still did survive. So in some cases it could still survive, but again, you're taking a risk. So as far as custom supports, that's how you use custom supports. You just want to throw them in useful places to help adjust for gravity, and where you may see some weak parts of the print that might actually need a little bit more durability, so that way again you have something that's going to last. Alright, and now I'm going to show you guys why you want to watch your print from the bottom all the way up and what to really look for. So this is the Green Goblin mask that I was showing you guys on my Green Goblin build. I didn't slice it on there, but now I'll show you exactly what I meant by where I'll need some of the supports. Alright. Now, of course, before I do this, I would obviously have everything laying flat, because if you see these two circles right here, that's again my raft. I want the raft everywhere. It's not showing everywhere because everywhere is not touching the build plate. But pretty much what I did is I let this build up, and then I started to look for places like, hey, where can this print as it's going up have an issue or start to fail? Like, what wouldn't be supported? And to be honest, you have to be very thorough with this part, because I'm pretty sure some of you guys have left a print, came back to it, and it failed. You got like the spaghetti string, and you're wondering like, why? You've probably been like asking people, what happened? They're telling you level the bed or tram the bed, move your access, you're over extruding, you're under extruding. All of that could be an issue, but I would say about 80% of the time it's probably because you just didn't look at your build and something started building where there was no support, and then it caused a failure there. So as they start to come up, look at that piece right there by the teeth. So this is what I was mentioning. There's nothing there. That's printing on air. And the reason that your printer does this is because this part of the jaw is on the same level as this part of the teeth. But that's just where it's going to start from there. And then if you keep watching it, it's going to try to attempt to build that whole mouthpiece until it gets over to the side. And not only that, look at right here where the actual teeth are. You're going to see it's going to try to build those teeth before anything else as well. So because, let's say if you didn't do this, let's say if you just put it all down at the bottom, put the raft on, thought you were good, because it looks like if you build everything up, it looks like the teeth, everything like that, it looks like, hey, that looks pretty solid, I can trust that. No, you always have to look at layer by layer. You can either slide up how I'm doing here on the right, or you can use your up arrow, down arrow, so that way you can see exactly inch by inch, second by second, layer by layer, how this build is going to go. So now from here, there are two options that I could have done. I could have either selected the model and using my custom supports and put custom supports there. So just pretty much like this to brace it. Or two, I could do what I actually did. What I actually did was I came in here, I clicked supports, and I put supports over the build plate. Why did I do that? Because if I put everywhere, again, everywhere that you see red would have got support. I didn't want that. So I put it on everywhere. What that did is in the mouth, everything printed evenly. Everything printed with that supports there. Now again, I'm trying to teach you guys how to save a filament in time. So if I did that, that would have, of course, taken more time. So another thing that I want you guys to learn, I showed you guys in the Green Goblin video, but are support blockers. So what support blockers do is if I have the supports on everywhere, even if I have custom supports on, if I select this, make it a little bit bigger. Oops, let me turn back uniform scaling before I do that. Let's get rid of that. All right. So it comes out as that little cube like that. And just select that. Just be careful sometimes, because sometimes I miss the support blocker or miss the custom support, and I end up moving or deleting something on the model. Anytime that happens, just hit Command Z if you're on Mac. All right, so I lined everything up like that, gave that a little tilt. And then just move this up some. The reason I did that is because as you watch the jaw building up, nothing in this jaw is gonna fail. This jaw had it's all building on top of itself. I didn't really have to worry about that. My main thing was making sure that the teeth had the supports. So now with putting that support blocker there, if I kept it on over the build plate or everywhere, that chin would have gotten support as well. So this whole front structure would have had that support that generated in there. I don't need that. So I blocked that section from getting any supports, so that way the supports only come here at the teeth. Now again, you can have more than one of those support blockers. You can support block wherever you need, adjust, fix it however you feel fit. And anything in these sections are not going to have support. So that's another way to cut things down. So you can put supports on everywhere or over build plate. Use these support blockers on certain areas that you don't want to have supports, and then go from there. Alright, and just to give you guys a visual of that, you'll probably notice like a couple of cuts. Like I said, to slice my models in Cura takes a lot of time. So I just keep getting out of there so that way you guys don't have to watch that. But you'll see where I have the support blocker. So you see I have one here and one there. And then when I look at preview, you see how in the inside of this jaw, there's no support. But then you'll see by the teeth, now the teeth have that support. So as the jaw's coming, boom, the teeth are going to have something solid to build onto. You'll see them coming in now. So again, that's going to make the print succeed. Since it's generated supports, there's not much that I have to worry about. And you'll see by the back here, I did that purposely. So you see the back here, there's a custom support there. I mean, there's the support blocker there. But where it's not, you'll start to see that it's going to generate the support there. So again, pretty much all I would have to do from there is just, if I wanted to, move this up a little bit more, and then copy it and do it on the same side as well, so that way only in those teeth I get support. So that's another way there that I'll cut or save some time. And then finally, if I can't orientate the print in a certain way, if I'm using the custom supports and that's not really helping me either, what I will do from there is I'll start to slice up the model. So this is pretty much what I did with my Mandalorian. If you guys watch the Green Goblin video, you'll see it in there as well. But I'm just going to break down how I use this slicer tool here to further cut these models. Alright, and again guys, this is a free file, slicer3.org, so SLIC3R.org. So this is kind of like, you probably seen on my Cura as well, I had like a couple different models, and you could probably hear my printer in the background again. I'm working on new prints every day, guys. It doesn't change. But this is what I do with most of my models, because I don't want to use a whole lot of supports. I don't like using supports in general. I just want to print. What I'll do from there is, if I can't, again, orientate my print in a certain way, use those custom supports with the support blocker. This is kind of like my final step, which kind of like, I run out of patience quickly. I'm just like, all right, let me just cut this thing. But yeah, here's how I'll do it again. In this slicer, you have a couple different options. You have delete all, delete, you can move, either in a counterclockwise or a clockwise. You could scale, split the model, or again, what we're going to be doing today is cutting. Now, when I did this Mandalorian helmet, the main reason I cut this was because the bottom to the visor, it would have had to generate supports. I wasn't really liking the way that the supports looked, so I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and cut it. When I cut this model, again, the main thing that I wanted to save or stop from getting the supports was this visor right here. If you see anybody print out the Mandalorian helmet, you'll notice on the inside, like I said, to get the dome, you don't need supports there. The print will succeed. But by the visor, just the way I showed you in the Iron Man, where the eyes were, and I told you guys about that bridge, that's what you want to support, is that bridge there. But I didn't want to do that, so here's how I cut that out. So pretty much with this, again, you can move on 3 different axes, the same 3 axes that your 3D printer has. You can either cut on the Z, the Y, or the X axis. For this one, I went on the Z, and I just went up to about where the visor was. And I didn't want any of the bottom to be attached, or any of this bridge part right here. I wanted that to be separate. So let's see if I can get it a little bit more. It's too much. And again, you can right where you see me type in the numbers, you can go there as well to try to get a more dialed in number. Of course, since I'm recording, this wants to take a little bit more time. Alright. From there, you guys pretty much get the point. I'll just try to get it as perfect as I can. Alright, so right about there. Just so you guys get a clearer understanding. So boom, you see the visor is good. I'm not going to really have to do any supports there. And you'll see the lower part as well. As far as printing, that's going to need absolutely no support. That's going to print just like that. One thing I didn't show you guys that might have been confused, and I'll show you guys now. So once I do hit perform cut, alright, let me just move everything. I don't want to move you, I want to move the screen. Alright, there we go. So from here, what I'll do is I'll hit delete on just one part. I think last time I did it, I deleted both. And then from there, I didn't show you guys how to export the model either. So once I'll delete one side, and then from there, I'll hit export STL. And from there, I could type in whatever I want the name to be. Choose where I want it to go and be downloaded. And then from there, Command Z. And then I'll take that part out. And then export STL, I'll only save the top of the head. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you might have to go to split the 2 models. So if these 2 are still registering as one, I would just select one and then hit split. And it would make 2 different STL files. I think now it just made them 2. No, it still has them split. But that split button there is how you'll get two different sections on the model. And then from there, that's pretty much all I did. From there, I just took these 2 over to Cura. Alright, and then once I sliced that, I put that over to Cura. And then again, use my handy dandy raft with my handy dandy custom supports. So again, when I use custom supports, all I'm looking for is to adjust for gravity. My printer can do everything else, but when it comes to gravity, it doesn't have a sensor that's going to help it understand that. So what I do is, again, this one, usually when I do most helmets are dome shaped, so they come out in circles. With this Mandalorian helmet, since it has that little ridge in the middle, it started to print almost like a bolt, like a U shape. So that's all I pretty much want to watch for and adjust for. And you'll see as it's starting, these supports I just threw on real quickly, but you'll get the idea. at the bottom, or as it's starting, you'll see those little pegs that I have there. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna save. If you look at that. If I put on over build plate or everywhere, all of that's gonna get support, including this little lip right here. But since I just put those custom pegs, that's gonna save me a lot of time, and my print's still gonna succeed. Again, I just looked at every single point. As you can see, as it's starting to go up, as the bowl is starting to get a little bit bigger, the next legs are starting to come in. So these two back legs here. So that's going to give it its next set of support. And I still feel confident with that. And then again, as it's still going up, it's going to move on to these next legs here. So from this point right here, this nice little bowl shape, that I feel safe with, because if the printer head starts to push too hard on the front, it has these legs here. If it pushes too hard on the back, then it has those legs there to give it the extra supports there as well. And then it still has these support legs in the middle. If you understand supports are built on to these supports, so they're pretty much attached. So there's not going to be much wobbling with my rafts. That gives those supports a lot more extra stick to my build plate. So I usually just send these prints off just like this. And then from this bowl, so once these front two legs attach on, what I like to say is you'll start to see the print moving upwards. So what I mean by that is it's starting to build on itself. Sorry, that was my puppy playing with a toy again. But you'll start to see it build up on itself, where it doesn't really need the support. So there's not much hang over on the sides. Everything is kind of like going up from what's already been done here at the bottom. So I feel a lot of comfortability with doing it like this. Now, of course, with doing it like this, with doing the dome like this, the only thing that you really get is a lot of like fuzzy, like not like layer shifts, but you get a lot of like, pretty much if you watch my how-to sanding video, you'll see how rough this bottom bowl comes out, but that takes like 5-10 minutes for me to get that out. It's super simple. It's just using regular sanding, wood filler, primer. I get those imperfections out pretty quickly, but everything else on the print comes out very solid. So again, that's just another way that I'll orientate a print, cut a print, just to get those supports there. Well, just to cut down on the support. Alright, and that's pretty much everything that I have for you guys there. So I hope some of that helped you guys out. Again, I hope that you guys now understand what supports are. I mean, and again, with the differences between supports everywhere, when you want to use that, supports over build plate, custom supports, and tree supports. And then again, I gave you guys a couple of tools of how you want to orientate your model and how you want to slice your model for the best success, and how to save time and filament on your prints. Again, 10 days, guys, 75% of your filament, over 2,000 grams. Like, I don't think I've ever, if you even look at here, 170 grams. I don't think I've ever printed something that's over 200 grams. So yeah, I hope this really helped you guys out with really understanding how the supports work, and you guys cut down a lot on your time. Alright guys, if this video helped you, it could help somebody else. So feel free to hit that like button, hit that share button to help the next 3D printer come along. Also, leave some comments below if there's something that I didn't mention that may be helping you save some time, save some filament. Leave definitely in the comments. I'm always up to comments. Again, my Instagram is 3db.inc. And then finally, guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. As you see here, I'm working on a Power Ranger. I'm working on Green Goblin. I'm working on something every day. So stay along for the journey, my tutorials, and 3D builds, guys. It's 3DB. God bless. Take care.